Hello and welcome to the SoundLab podcast interviews unedited. On today's show we have interviews from KINGH, Delta, SKORTS, Sue Glover, and we throw back in time to 2021 to chat to the darkness. So without further ado, let's have a little chat with KINGH, who has been busy releasing her own new music, and we had a chat with her all about it. So KINGH, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, yeah, not too bad. So we've been playing a single of yours called Dare to Dream. Tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
So this single is the title track of the EP also. And we really wanted to create something that felt uplifting and something that felt inspiring. And as soon as it's obviously Shy's featuring on it, and as soon as he brought me the track, I just knew exactly where I wanted to take it. And we really wanted to bring this energy of like it feeling nostalgic and sort of in that world, but also really, really fresh. And I think we achieved that. And I guess it became the title track of the EP because it really just encompasses what I'm about at this point in my career and in my journey. Hence, yeah, the title.
Ah, fair enough. And as you mentioned, the Shy FX is on the track with you. Tell us a bit about how the two of you came together for this track.
So, working with Shy is always very natural and very instinctive, and we really always just try and follow the feeling as opposed to like a formula. And I guess, I mean, we've been working together for a minute now, and so I think we both learn what we like. We both kind of know each other creatively. He knows exactly what's going to grab me in a track, and I know the type of stuff that he gravitates towards as well. And so it's always very natural and it's always very fun. And we always try and remember just to chase the feeling, really, and not try and think too much about rules and formulas in what we're doing. So it's always very fun.
Yeah, for sure. And you've got 6 tracks on the EP, and one of them is Ride, which features Koji Radical. Tell us about how that collaboration came about as well.
Yeah, so I was writing the song with Shy, and we just knew that we wanted to bring a different texture to vocally. And I had met Koji a bunch of times in the summer through Shy after their collaborations as well. And yeah, we just did a session. He wrote the sickest verse and then left, and we were like, cool. And it just fits so perfectly in with the song, and like it's just exactly the energy that also I think matches my texture vocally as well. So yeah, he just brought it.
Nice, yeah, nice. And these tracks are coming off your EP coming out 26th of June. The sound that you've made with this EP, was it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of just how it turned out as you were writing and recording it?
Yeah, it's exactly what it's been very natural, and I don't think it was anything was forced. We just me and Shy, and just when we met, we just talked a bunch, and then we realized we naturally just gravitate towards the same like music, the same sounds. We love bass lines, and so the whole process of the making of the EP was just very natural.
Nice. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this release. What happens to those now? Is it a case of considering them again down the line or starting afresh when the time comes?
We will see. I think at the minute we're writing a bunch of new stuff for yeah, for the next batch, but um it's always good to have a vault of ideas.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'd like to talk a bit more about the writing process. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
It really depends. I've tried a few different approaches. I think I did the whole like going into different studios, like the development stage, right, where you're just meeting a bunch of people, writing music, da da da. But I think at this stage of my journey, and especially having found somebody that I work with so well and that I trust, I usually start with melodies and again, just finding the feeling on the tracks and more of like the energy that I want to bring. So I always start with melodies and just throw in a bunch of melodies out and then um, start thinking about penning it, and that's always very fun. And then I guess another one of my favorite parts is when you have that laid out and then you think about the stacks and just stacking and really creating the world and and building it up.
Yeah, for sure. And the world of lyrics is very different to that of the music world. How straightforward do you find it to kind of merge those two together?
Sorry, say that again. You cracked up.
When it comes to lyrics and the music, they're quite
Mhm.
different and difficult to pen together. How straightforward do you find it?
Actually, I think that up until now, I've been very much guided and everything has really just slotted in place. And I think what I've written always just really, I think maybe because I start from melodies, it's always just very natural. And I always um, I guess I prioritize the energy of it. And so the lyrics come very naturally after that.
Yeah, nice. And I'm sure you'll be wanting to do some shows, and people will obviously want to see you doing some live stuff. What's your plan this year in doing some shows?
Yeah, so I'm working on my own stuff. Nothing's announced yet, and then I'm doing a bunch of stuff with Shy over the summer. Um, yeah.
Nice. And are you hoping to come over here to the UK? Is it mostly Europe? What's kind of the idea at the moment?
Yeah, I actually live in the UK. I'm in London. So um Shy's doing a bunch of shows like London, Brighton, Bristol that I'll be going out to. And then maybe a few festivals in London.
Nice, yeah. And you grew up, although born in the UK, you grew up in Italy. How much of an influence has that had on you and your musical career?
Yeah, it's had a huge influence. I think I grew up with um just listening to a lot of eclectic music growing up. And I think that that subconsciously affects you. I think I've always been very open to genres, and that's always been something again very natural. I grew up with artists like Zucchero and Ornella Vannoni that are like have such big identities. But then of course was like into the, Lenny Kravitz, Oasis, Gorillaz, Funkadelic, D'Angelo. So I always listened to a bunch of stuff, and then I think growing up in Italy, you can't help but absorb the art. And then I think when I moved to the UK is when I really just felt a bit more free to explore and experiment and just play and try different things with my sound. So I think it's definitely a result of like both, growing up in Italy, returning to the UK, having experiences in the UK and being exposed to the music scene here, which is also very eclectic.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you also have a background in film making as well, and that's kind of led you to kind of being involved quite heavily in your music videos. Is that
Mhm.
something else that you continue to enjoy and want to keep doing?
Yeah, 100%. I think the visuals are an extension of me. I think whenever I write music, I always very much see it as well. And yeah, so I went to film school in Italy and then I just picked it up as another medium, and I love the fact that I get to shoot everything myself and direct and pick the team. And I think with Dare to Dream, the music video is the perfect example of like that. The way the video is what was in my head when I wrote it. It was very, very clear, and it's usually a clear vision in my head, which sometimes is harder because like you want it like it is, like you see it in your head. But up until now, it's been amazing, and I can't wait to do more.
Yeah, I bet. And as you're fairly new to kind of releasing your own music under your own name, you must have aspirations of things you want to achieve and want to do. What's one thing that you really want to do in your career?
That's a good question. I think I think honestly, just keep expanding. I think the like for me, it doesn't just obviously music is the main thing, but it doesn't stop at music. And I would love to sort of make a film around a project, maybe an album. We'll see.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with King to talk about new music and more. Now, we are all over social media, so come and find us at The Sound Lab Yes on all the socials. You can also check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. So while you go and find us on all the socials and give us some follows, of course, we've got our next interview from Delta. He's got a brand new album out now, and we had a chat with him all about it. So Delta, how are you?
Hi, really well, thank you. How are you, Jim?
Good, yeah, not too bad. So we've been playing a single of yours called Daydream. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
Yes, it's the last single out of my debut album. And it's interesting because it's one of the last songs to be recorded for the album. And this is a time when I was and still am very heavily sort of drawn to analog synthesizers. So although the song was a fingerstyle sort of acoustic song about being infatuated by someone, it's we added a layer of like an interesting analog synthesizer to do the bass line, which to me makes it very interesting, blending that with backing vocals in a very sort of Beatlesy, I think like late 60s, early 70s overall vibe.
Yeah, nice. And as you mentioned, that is off your debut record, Mad About It, which is out this week. What can we expect to hear on the record?
Yes, so I mean, it's because it's my debut album, and I'm sure many artists sort of go through this. It's an amalgamation of songs over the past like 4 or 5 years, and it's interesting because I was explaining this to someone. It's my sort of expression of going through experiences for the first time. Like the biggest breakups and the disillusionment about the world. So I think it's like what you're going through in your like mid to late 20s, I'd say. And you go through all of those experiences. And it's also because Strange, which is the oldest track that came out like 3.5 years ago now, has a very interestingly, a very coherent sort of sound with the latter songs such as Daydream that just came out now. And because I'm pretty sort of OCD with a lot of things, I do like the fact that the oldest song on the album and the latest one, Daydream, that came out now, they both have very similar sort of soundscape, like closing a circle. That's the first album.
Yeah, nice. And the sound that you've made with this record, is it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of just how it turned out as you were writing and recording it?
To be honest, when I started recording this album, I wasn't as experienced in the studio, and I think because it was done over 3 different sessions, and I mean, being there and from my perspective as the artist, it's very apparent to me like which songs were like from which recording session, because I kept experimenting more with the latter tracks, such as Mad About It, which is the lead single of the album, and Daydream. And there's also another track which I love called Midnight Passenger, which is on the album. And they're all sort of songs that blend, like electric guitars and acoustic guitars with analog synthesizers in a very sort of interesting way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto the record. What happens to those now? Is it a case of trying them again down the line or starting afresh when the time comes?
I know that's a very good question, because I actually asked this question on ChatGPT like last night, as like, should I, because I don't know, now with Spotify you can just like release some songs that have been recorded but maybe didn't make the album, but then if they didn't make the album, are they good enough to release? So that's the big question. I tend to not recycle songs because to me that's a bad sign. I mean, if a song didn't make album 1 and it does make album 2, does that mean that album 2 is like, so sort of that the bar is a bit lower for the songs? So I'd say that usually I just like let them be. I have them like on a drive somewhere, sitting, and maybe in 10 years' time I'll, release a batch of songs, be like the songs that did make album one. Trying to be interesting.
Yeah, no, can't wait for those, I guess. And I'd like to talk a bit about the writing process as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
So I usually start with the music first, like playing chords and mumbling a melody, and then through mumbling, I'll start forming sort of sentences or words, and I'll try to decipher what sort of the meaning of the song is. Sometimes it's clear. I'll sit down. I want to write about something specific, but most of the time that's not where the best songs come from. It's interesting because I had a conversation with a friend about a band called Geese. I don't know if you know them. So I love Geese. And I resonate a lot with their music, even though their lyrics very often make no sense. And we were saying with this friend that it's as if, but you really feel them. And it's as if you're like two drunk people are communicating in a language that like makes no sense, but they completely understand each other. And that's how I feel sometimes about songs that don't necessarily make perfect sense, like as lyrics. But then when you hear it in the context of the music, for some reason, the other person understands what you're on about, even though the lyrics are sort of quite abstract. Sorry, this is a long answer.
No, I'm happy for you to keep talking.
Yeah.
That means I'm doing my job right, because they don't want to hear from me.
Yeah.
No, that's great to hear. And obviously the world of lyrics and the world of music are very different. How straightforward do you find it to merge those worlds together?
I mean, not very. Not. I mean, I do struggle with lyrics more than music, and I do tend to try and find the creative ways to write lyrics. I'll try to speed write sometimes, just like whatever is on my mind. I'll try to like. There's another technique that David Bowie used, where like he would chop out like sentences and mix them up, and that would form the song. Because also, I've read that many artists have had the similar issue with the lyrics, but then again, you shouldn't overthink it. There's a very famous example that I saw, Rick Rubin, who's a producer, in one of like interviews that he made about creating Chop Suey with System of a Down, where they couldn't find lyrics for the bridge, and he told him, just go into my library, pick up a random book, point to a sentence, and that's what we'll sing. And they ended up opening the Bible and pointing to a lyric that's like, to me, the most poetic and beautiful moment of the song. This is like "Angels Deserve to Die," but it's like, but that's such an interesting thing that sometimes you just don't need to overthink it. Just yeah.
No,
Let the universe decide my lyrics for me, I suppose, from now on.
Yeah, you'll have to do that going forward, I think. Make your life easier.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously with the new record, you'll be wanting to do a lot of touring, and you've been doing quite a bit this year already. Tell us a bit about the shows you've done already.
Yeah, so we did a headline run back in February. We did a few shows. We did Glasgow, Manchester, London, and a small run of Greece. We just finished, actually, this past Sunday, a tour with the Marmosettes around the UK, which was fantastic. I mean, not only the crowds and their fans are amazing and very welcoming, but the band were also very, very kind backstage. And we're planning to do a European run in November, which includes the UK, Germany, France, Poland, and Greece. And it's our first run around Europe. We've done very small sort of acoustic openings for other artists, but that's the first time like with a full band. So very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anywhere you've not been to yet that you want to go and play and tour at some point?
Yes, I mean, I'd love to go to America, but as long as Trump is there, I think it'll be very, very hard for us to go, because it's notoriously very difficult to get a visa at the moment. So hopefully in a couple of years' time, we will be able to tour the United States, and that's a massive dream. And also Australia. would also be great to play it as well.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Delta to talk about his new record and more. Now, if you're listening to us on Spotify, then you'll be pleased to hear we also have a Spotify playlist. It brings you 150 brand new up-and-coming artists that we feel like you might just enjoy yourselves. And if you want to check that out, search Fresh by The Sound Lab on Spotify or head to the website thesoundlabuk.co.uk and click on the Fresh playlist button. So while you go and find our playlist and save to listen to later on, of course, we've got a new interview from SKORTS. They've got a brand new single out, which we've been playing. Had a chat with them all about it. So SKORTS, how are you?
Not bad.
Yeah. Just rolling out of bed.
Good morning from New York City.
Yeah.
How is it over there? All good at the moment?
Oh, the city is thriving. People are very happy.
Yeah, there's been some big victories in the world of sport, so it's there's a little bit of a lift underneath the wings of the city at the moment.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah, great to hear. So after this interview, we'll be playing a new single of yours called Head Rush. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
Yeah, it's kind of a song that has been kicking around for a while. We thought it might be on the first record, but it didn't end up getting ready in time. But it's a good it's a nice side of us. It's kind of like a middle ground. It's like just a good rocker of a song.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah.
Live. I'm kind of partial to the live performance. The recording's great, but I'm excited to go over and tour it and play it live for everybody. So yeah. The song is what is it? It's a rager. So yeah.
No, nice. And is this an extension of your debut record, Incompletement, which came out last year, or is this kind of the start of the next step and possibly the next record to come?
It's definitely an extension of the first record. These were kind of, it's hard to say it without making it sound like you aren't excited about the songs, but they are songs that were around during the recording of the record.
I think it was more like didn't know how to tackle them.
Yeah, they didn't quite fit maybe in the context of the full length, but this definitely feels like maybe more of like us putting out a deluxe version of the record.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking along those lines, knowing that your debut record was called Incompletement, is this now, when you release the extension, going to be called Completement?
No, we'll never be complete.
I would hope to say that yes, this completes that
era,
that body of work, but maybe not. Yeah, like
there's still a lot of good stuff from that writing period.
Yeah.
Simple but strong, and I feel like what we're writing now, it kind of goes. The songs have been going on massive journeys, a little bit more complicated for us, but we're getting there. Yeah, the earlier stuff has a touch of simple to it.
There's a touch of simple in all the stuff, I would say.
I
think the structures are getting more elaborate, but it's all very simple at the end of the day.
No, sounds good to me. And as I mentioned, that it came out in October last year. How's it gone down with the fans, and has the feedback been positive? I'm sure it has.
I mean, at least
to our faces,
people have said they enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been great. We did a big US tour. We just got back like a couple weeks ago, and was received really well. And
made a bunch of new fans.
Yeah, played a lot of music off that record, and we'll continue to do so. Coming over there and playing some stuff, but we've got some of like that newer kind of, I guess, more elaborate stuff as well that we hope to throw in the mix this time around.
Yeah. We're gonna play some new songs because we had like a tight 30-minute set and when we were doing like the US tour, so there wasn't a lot of wiggle room for experimenting. But going over to Europe, we're gonna have like an hour, maybe more. It's so we get to play around.
We get to play those 12-minute songs.
And yeah, those new 12-minute songs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got dates all across Europe, starting in Italy in a few days' time through until kind of mid-July, where you hit here in the UK as well. I bet you can't wait to be doing some shows over this way.
Absolutely. It's like a total kind of bucket list place to go and play. You think about like all the history and even like the current landscape of like the UK music. It's just I don't know. It's
Yeah.
I obviously the New York and London and the UK, the US sort of rival each other in terms of music history. But yeah,
Yeah.
gonna
I'm
be
excited to
very
see what
cool.
it's about over
We've
there.
never been, so it's gonna be like yeah, a pretty huge moment.
Yeah. Watch out for us. We're gonna be driving ourselves, so
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. You'll know
We
we're
drive
here.
on the opposite side of the road here. Just remember that, you'll be fine.
Yeah. If you
I'll
see anybody just kind of majorly messing up, it might be us.
Watch out, because Scots are coming over here. And aside from kind of one more date in the US on the 19th of September, not much, according to your website, is booked in at the moment. Are you hoping to be adding more dates this year?
Yeah, we're talking about a couple things, but it's like we'll just see what comes. We like doing these two tours so close together and kind of having to slow down on working on new music has sort of like made us think like, okay, when is there going to be time to get this second record rolling? Um, we found the time, but yeah, we'll see what happens in fall. There may be some more dates.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple little things penciled in here and there, but there should be
It's
more
like,
US dates.
yeah, kind of taking them as they present themselves, the opportunities, but sometimes it happens really fast and we just kind of have to be there to say yes to it. So, yeah, keep
Yeah.
checking.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you've touched on record too, and I'm sure your mind's kind of working towards that place at the moment. Do you know the direction you're wanting to take it in?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I don't want to get too far ahead, but like I think we're gonna take a different approach to the whole recording
record.
process for this next record and just kind of see how that shakes things up.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And I'd like to talk a bit about the writing process as well. So for you guys, how do tracks normally start off?
So I feel like in the beginning, I had a lot of songs that were already kind of demoed out, and I had brought them to the band, and but now I feel like these like ever since this band really started getting together in a room and jamming, it's become more of an open stream of just anybody's kind of picking up on on a jam kind of situation and then kind of elaborating off of that. I'm usually the one that's doing like creating the melody and the lyrics and maybe finding the direction and where the song goes, but once we get in the room, everybody's mind kind of melds and can figure out where to go from there. But each song kind of has their own little life and the way it kind of spawned. So sometimes I get a little morsel of an idea that just needs a little lift from the band. Sometimes Char has the guitar part written, and so it's easy. You can just sing and go off of that. But I like to just come at it at like a open book, kind of clean slate with no expectations to write anything. Just kind of let the just the moment kind of take over and just be a vehicle for the energy to flow through.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the world of lyrics and the world of music, I have heard very different worlds. And is a bit of a challenge to merge the two together. What's it like for you guys to merge those two worlds of lyrics and music together?
Yeah, if I could just mumble sing, I feel like I would be I'd be set for life.
We've performed songs live that didn't have written lyrics yet.
Yeah. If
We've done it
anything,
many times.
I always I know what I want the sound to be first, and then I'm usually writing the lyrics second. But sometimes the stronger part of the song will get the lyrics first, and then I have to work in a little bit backwards to get the rest of the everything fitting into place. It's a bit of a puzzle for me. I'm looking for things to sound really nice and also to be able to tell the story of whatever that song is calling for. I feel like we always know what the song's about even before the lyrics are written. You can hear it in the song, and so it's pretty easy to know where to start. But it can be a challenge. It depends on how blocked you are for words that day, you know. But they always come eventually.
Yeah, no, for sure. And once you get into the studio and work together on these tracks, is it very collaborative, and does everyone have influence on each other, or do the band members kind of stick to their own lane and stick to what they know?
It's very collaborative. I think a lot of decisions get made and final choices get made in the studio that maybe weren't there in the demo, or a lot of stuff gets figured out there, and a lot of it is
No ideas.
like a majority kind of thing.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It's extremely collaborative.
We'll hear something and be like, "Oh, try that," and everybody's open to receive.
Yeah.
Like that idea, because it's coming from a place of love and for the project. So, yeah, and it makes us better to be able to work together like that.
Yeah, no, I bet. And you must have aspirations of things you guys want to achieve in the music world. What's kind of on that bucket list that you want to get done as a band?
Oh, to keep writing and making music, and or like to be able to keep the project in a place where everybody is happy and can continue to do that for as long as possible. Whatever achievements come, that's just because we're in a good and happy, healthy place writing. And so that's just my only goal, is to keep making good music.
Yeah. To feel like completely satisfied with a record or something like that would be, I don't
reach larger audiences.
But the feeling of creating the music is kind of the thing that keeps you in it, because like chasing all those other things can get a little bit exhausting and definitely wear you down. So like to just feel totally confident that like I've made the best thing I could, and
to hold
and it's got a little bit of like special something to it. That's what I'm kind of chasing. I think it's just like
to hold the love for the music throughout all of the achievements and like goal seeking parts of it. I feel like being able to make a career out of it and be as in love with it as you were when you started, that's what I want to, that's my goal, is to hold that throughout the ride. Yeah.
Glastonbury would be pretty cool as well.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
That's
playing all the biggest venues. I mean, come on. That's where you want to go. But that's just because you want to keep playing and being in front of people who want to share the moment with you.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with SKORTS to talk about new music and more. Now, if you're loving all of today's interviews, then you can hear them again in an edited form on our international radio show, Future Hits. It comes alongside a load of new music and a live session too. And if you want to check that out alongside other shows that we do, including a pop punk party and Christmas show as well, head to the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk, click International Radio Shows, and you'll head to our Mixcloud account, The Sound Lab UK. So while you go and find all of our radio shows, we've got our final new interview, and it comes from Sue Glover, who's just released a new record and been busy releasing music too. So Sue Glover, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. So we've been playing a single of yours called For No Reason At All. Tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
All right. It's a song that I heard many years ago, and I absolutely fell in love with this song. And I kept it away. I recorded it, and it was going to go out a few years ago to be released. And the week it was to be released with a record company, the company were taken over by Universal Records. So that song was shelved and put away. But, you know, I hid that song up in my cupboard for so many years, you know, because I loved it so much. I just wanted to have it. And I thought, if I ever have the chance again, I'll record it. You know, I'll put it out. And that's what I'm being in the music business for 60 years. It's a long time. I thought maybe this is the time I need to have a look at some of those old songs I stored in this old cupboard of mine. And then a friend said, why don't you release it? And I went, well, I was thinking of it, but, you know, and he said, do it. Why don't you do it? So with two of my friends, one of them who does a lot of remastering, he said, don't worry, I can remaster the songs for you. So he did. And I was delighted. I just chose the songs I liked, you know. Can you see me all right, Jim?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're all good.
Okay, it's just my face is like half on there. And so that's what happened. We recorded it. Then someone played it to this record company. And they said, we love what you've done. We love all these old sort of songs and, you know, the things that you've done in the past. We'd be very interested. I fell through the floor. I really did. But anyway, lovely company, lovely people. So I said I'd love that song as my single. And as a surprise to me, they made a video of it. I didn't know. They just sent it to me, and I just loved it. I thought, oh, it's lovely. I think it's so emotional. I think women will love it, and they'll associate themselves with it too, you know. It's one of those songs, it's very heart sort of, you know. Well, it's from the heart. I sung it from the heart, and I think it will appeal to a lot of people, ladies and men and everything else, you know. So I hope they like it, Jim. I think whatever you do, it's just for me, I just hope that people will like this, you know.
No, definitely. And it's off a record of yours as well, which is out now. And for those who've not had chance to listen to it yet, tell us a bit about the record as well.
Oh, the record has got 20 songs on it. Some of the songs have been written for me by friends, you know. I've got, I think, 2 or 3 songs by Tony Waddington. He had a lot of #1 records years ago, like, you know, Sugar Baby Love, I think, was his biggest one, but all very poppy songs. And so he wrote he wrote songs that I recorded, and I just chose the ones I liked to put on the album. Another writer, very famous writer, Roger Webb, he wrote beautiful film music, and he wrote this song. You'll find it on the album. That's another one, emotional one. I get very emotional when I sing. I don't know why, but I do. But it's just, you know, just a variation of singers and songwriters and things. And further down the list, of course, I was living in Berkshire, and a friend of mine phoned me from France and said, "Do you mind if I pop in with my friend? He loves fishing, and you live by the River Kennet." So I said, "Yeah, no problem." And when they arrived, I fell through the floor because her friend was Davy Jones from the Monkees. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. He'd come to my home to fish in my river. And well, not my river, but the river. And so we became friends, and he stayed for a couple of weeks, and we took him to London, introduced him round and everything. And he said he'd written a song that he'd really like to put down. And so that's what we did. He put the song down, and I just did a duet with him. And that's on the album as well. So I have Davy Jones of the Monkees with me as well. So, and it's pleasing. He's so uplifting. He's very up, you know. And when he was ready to go, I'd written in my diary, "The sun is going today," meaning the sunshine is leaving my home today, because he was like a bundle of fun. And, it was just lovely. So I was just sad when he died, but I mean, lovely guy, wonderful guy, very, very nice person. So he's on my album as well. So I've got a mixture of songs and singers, selection. So sometimes it can sort of bring memories back to people. There's no like major hit songs on it or anything like that. Just the writers who wrote the songs are on it, So I just put them all together, and the record company loved what I did. And I thought, wow, this is a blessing. I mean, it couldn't happen. I mean, I was just so lucky. So lucky this happened,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
isn't it, really?
yeah, no, for sure. And obviously, as you mentioned, you've been around for over 60 years. And in that time, you've been
quite over 60 years, but but a long time.
Yeah, a long time. And you've been part of Sue and Sunny. You've done Brother of the Man. You've done backing music and all things like that. But you've not overly dabbled in the solo world. I think you've done a couple of bits in the past. But what took you so long to kind of get to this stage and to release your own music?
I think you get used to I was started to become used to being a bridesmaid, really. I was never the bride, but the bridesmaid, and it's just all of a sudden one day I woke up and think, maybe I should bring out my own things, and I looked at my cupboard, which I knew stored all my old stuff, and I just raided it, and I thought, why not now? It's never too late. If I don't do it now, I never will. And what's wonderful, I've had lots of calls from singers, session singers, who've actually said, "My gosh, are you brave? You've done this. How courageous of you. And it's wonderful you've done this." But now they are thinking of doing the same thing, which I'm so pleased, because maybe they thought, well, if she can do it, I think we could do it. And for me, that is wonderful, because some of them are brilliant, brilliant singers. So if I've started a trend here, I think it'd be wonderful. I've done something useful in my life, so that'd be great.
You've done plenty of good things in your life, absolutely. And you've released a load of songs, and there's songs out there that even me at the age I'm in my 30s, I know some of the songs that you've released over the years as part of Sue and Sunny and that. Tell us a bit about your time with your sister and the time you've been with Sue and Sunny. And looking back to then, what did you realize that all these years later, people would still know your music and be singing along?
No, I didn't at all. I thought we're just backing singers. We'd go and do the backings on records. Yes, we got publicity when the records got into the charts and things, but that was about it, really. But, after a long while, all of a sudden, someone would say, "Oh, Sue and Sonny, oh, I remember them," and I thought, wow, oh, that was amazing. So it's nice that people remember us because we have been around a long time. We have done a lot of work and we did a lot of television. We did a series with Bobby Gentry, actually. And they featured us quite heavily on that series, which was nice. We just, apart from backing on records, we're doing shows for America with Tom Jones. His shows were recorded for America, and he'd have amazing guests on it. One day we turned up and Ella Fitzgerald was there. Oh, wow. Couldn't happen to us, could it? So we did shows for America, for, different countries with big artists, great singers. And they're all lovely people. I'm very lucky to be in a business where the people are lovely as well as the music and being proud of doing what I'm doing. I used to come home from work and my children, my mother would say to the children, "Oh, your mum must be really tired. She's been working all day." And they'd say, "Well, what have you been doing then?" And I said, "Well, I've been doing oohs and ahs and shalalas and a couple of whoops and a couple of whoos." And they're saying, "Well, that doesn't sound as if you're going to be, you've done a lot." But it is a lot when you're in the studio and you're doing all the backings for different singers and things, and we all session singers would always try and do their best to make that song sound good, because the last thing you put on the record really is the vocal backings. And then you got that chance to hear that thing. And sometimes you ask, can you add something to this? Can you add a harmony? Can you add a something? And that's what we did. And of course, this has happened many, many times, where the session singers have written quite a lot on records,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's really.
And speaking of the kind of backing vocals you've added, I've seen a list of artists you've worked with, like David Bowie and Joe Cocker and Elton John, alongside others you've mentioned yourself. How did all these kind of collaborations and all come about?
Well, Elton John, known for years, he started off as a session singer. Elton John used to do sessions when I used to do sessions, and we'd meet in the studio, and he'd come in bouncing away, and the first thing he'd do is head for the piano every time and play what song he was just about to write or just written. And he did write a song, and he said he'd finished it. And I said, "Oh, can I hear it? Can I hear it?" And we only had about 5 minutes before the session started. And he played the song Son of My Father. And that's the first song I'd heard that he'd written, newly written. I just loved it, absolutely loved it. And I said, "Oh, your songs are going to be sung by everybody, Reg, they really are." And of course, I didn't realize he was going to be such a mega star. But I was lucky because I did, I can't remember whether it was 2 or 3 albums with him. And we recorded it at Trident Studios in London. And what was lovely, he'd be singing, doing the main singing, we'd be doing the backings. And his mum always used to sit in the control room behind, going like, like that. So that was nice, because that was felt cozy because we were friends, and that was nice. So we did quite a bit with Elton John,
Yeah, no.
David Bowie, we were in I can't remember what studio we were in. I have a feeling, I can't remember what studio, but I know we were in a studio. It could have been Lansdowne, I don't know. And he was in one studio, we were in another studio. And someone said, "Girls, have you finished your session yet?" We said, "Yeah." "Could you just do a song with the guy next door, So I said, "Yeah." And so we went over and we did some backings. And I think that was a song. And then they said, and when we looked at him, we thought, "We know you." Do you know what I mean? Hello, we know you. And the song, I think, was Tata, London, Tata, Bye-bye or something we did with Bowie. And Mark Bolan and T-Rex. We did about 7 songs with T-Rex. I didn't realise we had, but we had done about 7 songs. And Mark Bolan was always fronting. And we did a BBC television series with him. You know, not series, I think it was a one-off show with Mark Bolan. And we did recordings with him as well, you know, with T-Rex. So we were just lucky, I think. We were just very, very lucky, you know, lucky people.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I touched on earlier that you were kind of one of the early members of Brotherhood of Man, but before you left them before they had chance of making it onto Eurovision. But you yourself actually went on to Eurovision Song Contest a few times, including with Lulu. What was the experience of being on Eurovision all those times?
Yeah, it was great because Eurovision has an atmosphere of its own. There's a buzz in the air all the time at the Eurovision. There's excitement. There's a buzz in the air. It doesn't matter who's performing. There's always this buzz of excitement around, you know. And Lulu was very exciting because we did it in Madrid, you know, and that was very, very nice. And then, of course, when you know, I think the excitement builds and builds and builds as the results are coming in. As the results come in, you can feel the air building because you don't know if you're going to be next or what, you know what I mean? And I think we came first with Lulu on the Boom Bang a Bang. I think there's somebody else shared that first place with us as well. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was an experience. It really was. And it was a lovely time. And then the second time we did Eurovision, we did it about 3 times, I think, was with Joy Fleming because she had a very, very strong voice. She was a very strong vocalist. And she asked for myself, my sister, and Madeleine Bell if we would join her on the Eurovision to sing her Eurovision song for Germany. And so we said, yeah, of course, because nobody in England asked us to join them. So we did. So we joined Joy Fleming to do her song. Actually, I thought it was quite a good song, you know. And the Shadows were on the same bill that year as Joy Fleming was in Germany. And they were making snidey remarks, like jokingly, you know, traitors, you know, because we were actually backing the German entry and they were performing the English entry. But it's great fun and you meet so many people and the atmosphere is just alive. That's all I can say. That's the only way I can describe it, really, you know.
Yeah. And following on from that, I spoke to the Fizz, formerly Bucks Fizz, just last week, and asked them the same question I'm going to ask you: is how are you finding Eurovision at the moment? Because it has changed a lot since then.
I'm not very fond of it at the moment. I think it's changed because the BBC changed the rules. Because they decided they would pick the songs. They never left it to all the good songwriters. We have brilliant songwriters in this country. And they should be given a chance to actually write for the Eurovision and be in front of a panel so they can pick the best one. But unfortunately, the BBC choose the song. And I'm very disappointed. I am so disappointed. But what can you say? But maybe it's my age, maybe it's my taste. You know, maybe my taste in music has changed. But I think the 60s, 70s, 80s, that period of time, the songs were amazing. They were songs with melodies and catchiness and, you know, I think it's all changed. There's 1 or 2 really good songs that turn out, you know, but it's not my taste.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Sue Glover to talk about new music and more. And this is the part of the show where we like to throw back in time, and we're doing so back to 2021 to talk to The Darkness. They were busy releasing new music and a new record at the time, and had a chat with Justin of the band to talk all about it. So, The Darkness from 2021, how are you?
I'm good. It's release day. So
it is.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Tell us all you can about Motorheart.
Well, what do you want me to say? It's the seventh. No, is it the seventh? Yes, the seventh studio album by The Darkness. It's the best one so far. It's the first one that we've collaborated on remotely due to the entirely unprecedented world pandemic situation. Hang on a second, I'm just going to flush the toilet, and somebody's left something in there which is really unpleasant, and that's what happens in these provincial hotels. It's all gone. One yank, all gone. Amazing. Anyway, sorry. Well, where were we? Yeah, it's the seventh album. It's the best one. We're really proud of it. Had a good listen to it just now at my brother's hotel room, and just love it. I'm really proud of it, and it's got some stuff on there which I would say is up there with the best Darkness stuff. So if you like The Darkness, you'll love Motorheart.
Yeah, I mean, well, same as your best one. I think that's kind of the way you have to release records, and you've got to make it better than the last one. Otherwise, what was the point?
Yeah, the last one actually was an excellent sort of concept album with, it was important for the situation that arose, in that we had a song called, the album was called Easter is Cancelled, and then obviously 2 Easters were cancelled, and there was one line in the title track where I said spreading disease so they can sell the cure and all this stuff, and it all came horribly true, and there was a temptation to make this album, call this album Justin Hawkins from The Darkness wins the European lottery and lives happily ever after. But I ran out of that last record. It was important to make something that was uplifting, and when you listen to it, you don't think about the terrible time that we've all suffered, the uncertainty and all this stuff. We just wanted to make a good time record to sort of emerge from the pandemic bleary-eyed, and we can all celebrate together. And I'm really happy because we're on the road again for the first time in all that time, having had to sort of stop touring halfway through an Australian leg in the beginning of 2020, and this is our first then. So it's just awesome to be back, and I'm really proud of the record. So nice to be out and doing work. We're lucky.
Yeah, because that last tour you were on back, it would have been December 2019. You were over here was when we last had a little catch up. What's it been like, kind of not touring and not being able to gig?
It's strange because when you're a touring musician, as long as we've been doing it, it seems like being on the road is the only time in your life when you have sort of routine in your day, and the whole purpose of your being. And it's sort of like when that's taken from you, it's quite traumatic, really. You don't know how to behave, and for the whole of the pandemic, I've been on my own in my house, and it's just been, especially weird. It's just a weird time. It still feels like there's a bit of trepidation, and we're very careful with the sort of anti-COVID strategies while we're on the road. We just we can't afford to cancel shows, so we're all sort of strictly bubbling, and it's just the way we have to do things. And I don't feel like we're out of the woods yet as a world. And I'm sure nobody feels that at the moment. There's yet more suffering to come, I think. But at the moment, we have a little bit of respite, and it's nice to get out and do something while we can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, we've played a couple of tracks off this record of yours as well. But is there a track on there that was written about me? Because obviously my name is Jim. So I'm sure after our chat in December a couple of years ago, which was quite fun, did you write that track about me?
All of the tracks are about you, directly and indirectly. I hope you enjoy it. This is a tribute to you from me, and the boys. We just wanted to let you know that we appreciate you and love you for all the support you've shown us over the years.
Of course, but the one thing that I was upset about during that interview is you didn't tell me that you were doing The Masked Singer.
When did we talk?
I think it was just about a month before it went on TV. So,
well, yeah. Well, you see, the way The Masked Singer works, and this is a little insight for your listeners. When you're a contestant on there, you don't get paid until you're announced. So, if you spoil the surprise and leak the information at any point, you just don't get paid at all. So that was never going to happen, and I'm sorry that I betrayed you in that way. I do trust you. It's just that I needed my artistic considerations to be met. If you follow my drift, I'm rubbing two fingers and my thumb together as I say that.
No, I do understand, but I was a little bit upset, and I didn't guess it was you either, so that made me annoyed. So,
well, now I'm upset.
Well, I just thought you would have told me. That was the sole reason why I didn't think it was you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that. I mean, but having said that, the people that really love me, like my mum, took one look at it and said, "Yes, my boy." Before it even started singing, it's just the way I walked and probably my enormous cock.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't going to mention that, but now you brought it up.
Yeah, well, it had to be said, didn't it?
It did. So, 2022, what is the plan for The Darkness?
Well, next year we're planning a lot more touring. There's some dates in Europe after we finish this UK stuff. There's dates in Ireland and Northern Ireland. We're looking at trying to sort of make the US happen again for us, because one of the things about 2020 was that we cancelled 6 touring in the States that we were really looking forward to. So there's a lot of things, a lot of unfinished business from the last album campaign that we need to go and pick up, and now obviously we've got some new material now that we need to get out there. Really, I think there'll be a lot of shows and a lot of traveling and seeing the world. The usual thing, only more than that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one place that I'll be seeing you at, and I'm sure we'll get to have a catch up again, is you're on the Download Festival bill for next year.
Oh yes, how wonderful! Yeah, that's been rolled over from the last 2 years, I think. But I'm really happy that they managed to keep a slot for us, because thrilled when we were included, and it's just great that we still get to do it. All things well, and as we continue to emerge from this, we'll be at Download, and we can't wait.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with The Darkness and Justin from the band. Hopefully you enjoyed that from 2021. And that's the end of the show for another week, I am afraid. But don't you worry, we will be back next week with more interviews. But if you can't wait until then, social media at The Sound Lab, yes, on all the socials. And you can also check out the website at thesoundlabuk.co.uk. And we'll be back next week for another episode of The Sound Lab's Interviews Unedited. Goodbye.